Welcome to a little bit of Calm and Crazy. If you are new, my name is Jennifer, and today I'm excited to share with you some new Dollar Tree DIY gift ideas. I don't know about you, but this seems like one of those years where our hearts are full, but our wallets are a little bit empty, but we still want to give thoughtful, considerate gifts to our friends and family. Today, if you learned something new or you like something that you see, I hope that you will hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. I'm excited to let you know that today's video is sponsored by SureBonder. I have teamed up with them all year long. I absolutely love the brand and their products, and I'm excited to be able to partner with them again. Let's go ahead and jump right on into these projects. For this project, I'm using one of these wooden rounds from the crafters section at Dollar Tree. You could also use like the star or the heart, whatever shape you like. They have a couple of different ones. And then a photo, any photo that you want. I just happen to really love this one of my 3 kids. This is one of my favorite Christmas memories. This is a Christmas Eve photo, one of those just rare moments where everyone is getting along and we didn't have to even try to get this picture. So it's fantastic. So you're gonna take your shaped wooden round, in my case this wooden round, and you're just gonna trace it. After that, go ahead and cut out your shape, and then you're going to use some Mod Podge in order to attach your photo. Now you can see that my photo is just a little bit larger than my wooden round. That's just fine because I'm going to go in with my craft knife and I'm going to trim those edges so it fits perfectly. Once the Mod Podge has dried, I am going to go in with a second layer of Mod Podge on top of the photo in order to seal it, and I'm going to take that Mod Podge around the sides, and that's so I can adhere some ribbon that I had in my stash. I love this red and white polka dot ribbon that I had. I'm going to just go ahead and tighten that up or secure that with just a tab of hot glue. Now this is my detail tip SureBonder hot glue, so I can be really precise and just use an itty bitty amount of hot glue. Once I've done that, I'm creating a bow with that exact same ribbon, but I'm using the opposite side. It is a double-sided ribbon, and I'm just folding my ribbon over, putting a little bit of hot glue, and then I'm taking a smaller piece and wrapping it around the center of that ribbon to create that bow. And then I'm hot gluing that to the very top of the wooden round to make the top of my ornament. Now to hang this ornament, I'm taking a piece of twine. I tied a knot at the top, and I'm going to use a little bit of hot glue to down into the hole on the back side. That's, again, another great reason with this little detail tip, I can really get it down into that tiny little hole. I push the knot into the hole and then add a tiny bit more glue to secure that twine. And then this ornament is done. Isn't this darling? I think this is a great gift for grandparents. I think this would also be a really good gift to give, like, if you have grown children, to give them like special memories from like past Christmases. If you have pictures of those, maybe lying in a box that you don't really pull out too often, maybe turn them into ornaments instead. For this ornament, all you're going to need are one of these little jars from Dollar Tree and a bottle brush tree. Now this tree actually came in the 2-pack from Dollar Tree, and I'm using the smaller tree. To start off with, you're just going to go ahead and remove the base of the tree and then use a pair of the wire cutters to snip that little piece of wire that's still sticking out. After that, I use a Phillips screwdriver and I put it in the center of the lid and I used my hammer and tapped it a couple times until that went through the lid in order to create a hole. I then used some Dollar Tree ribbon, some gingham ribbon, and I threaded through both ends of the ribbon through the hole and tied a knot, and this is how I will be hanging this ornament. Now, I wanted to do ornaments that were sentimental and then some that were less sentimental, because I know that we give gifts to some people that maybe aren't as close to us, and I did an entire video on ornaments. So after I got the lid all set up, I went ahead and wanted to get the tree inside of the jar. So to secure that down, I'm going in with my hot glue gun, adding just a little dab of glue on the bottom of the tree and placing that inside. I then added in some faux snow. What is great about this is you can add as little or as much as you want. You can be completely crazy with it if you want to. I love that Dollar Tree carried this year. Once I had all that in there, I went ahead and I closed up that lid and decided I wanted to go ahead and put a bow on top as well. So quickly did up a little bow. I always start with a loop and then I wrap it around the back of my hand and my pointer finger, and then I push the ribbon through the hole, keeping the ribbon so that the front of the ribbon comes through, creating that second loop, and then I just adjust it until the loops are the size that I want and trim my tails. After that, I just hot glue the bow straight onto the top of that lid, and this ornament is done. What is great is you can leave this ornament the way it is, or you can personalize it by adding somebody's name to it, whether you use vinyl, a paint pen, a Sharpie. So you can really decide how personable you want it to be, whether it's for a family member or the coworker that works down the hall from you. For this project, I'm using one of Dollar Tree's wooden jars. They've had different variations of this, so you might have one that looks a little bit different, but they will all work just the same. So I'm going ahead and just removing anything that is on the jars or on the jar. And to get the extra stuff off, I'm going to scrape it first with a paint scraper. This is actually like a felt, so I'm just going to scrape off as much as I can. I go in with my heat gun to remove help me to remove any of the excess glue that is on here. Now, it will help remove some of the adhesive that is around the felt, but it will also melt the felt. So you want to be a little bit careful if you happen to have this particular jar. Once I was finished scraping, I went ahead and sanded it just to make sure it was extra smooth, and then I used Waverly's chalk paint in crimson, and I painted the entire thing, the front, the back, the sides, everything. It did take me about 3 coats to get full coverage. To embellish the jar, I'm using some of this baker's twine that you can get in the crafters section at Dollar Tree, as well as one of these ornaments. I'm actually going to be using the candy cane. These came from Walmart. You get all 6 of these just for $1.98. I think that is such a good deal. So I'm taking the baker's twine, I'm just wrapping it around 5 times around the top of the jar, and then I tied that off into a knot. In order to keep the knot where I want it, I just use a little dab of hot glue. After that, I go ahead and take the ornament and I string that up onto the baker's twine using my Cricut tool in order to push it through the hole. Once I have the ornament in place, I use a little dab of hot glue to keep it in its place, and then I tie a little bow onto the baker's twine to finish it off. What would really make this special is if you have a favorite cookie recipe or hot cocoa recipe or a family recipe that you wanted to add to the back, you really could personalize it that way. I think it looks so cute in my kitchen, added with this little candy cane theme, but it also looks really cute as part of a hot cocoa bar. So many different ways that you could style this, yet still make it super personable. For this project, I'm using one of these houses as my project base. And again, I'm going to go ahead and just remove everything that's on it, just pulling the flowers right off. And with this, I went in with a heat gun and I tried it to see if I could loosen the adhesive around the flowers or around the leaves before removing them and scraping them off. Now, I will tell you, you really do want to be careful with these little felt flowers because they can melt into it. I did melt the blue one just a tiny bit, but that little scraper does magic things and it will scrape things off like a charm. I just did a quick sand afterwards to make sure everything was nice and smooth, and then I painted it with Waverly's chalk paint in white, but any white will do. To jazz up the house, I am using this stencil that I got from Dollar Tree. I chose to use the word home. I'm using some Waverly chalk paint and ink. So first I start off by getting the paint on my stencil brush, and then I'm offloading it, getting it so where the brush is almost dry feeling. Then I go in and I pounce it. I like to use a stencil brush over like a sponge or another kind of brush. I feel like I get the best results with that. And when you're working with like a smaller stencil, this size of a stencil brush is like perfect for that. I'll make sure I link this for you down the description box. I pick it up on Amazon. I'm also a really big fan of the Surebonder silicone mats. I get paint all over these, not just hot glue, and they wash up so easily, and I just keep reusing them over and over again. They are so great to have on hand. I wanted to make a little tiny wreath for this house, and so I have one of these little wired greenery pieces that I put into a circle and then I twist off the ends. After that, I go ahead and I put it into a figure 8, and then I fold it over. That way it's doubled up. Then I cut off about 1/4 of the little berries, and I just start wrapping those around. I make sure as I go through that I'm keeping the berries fairly close together so that it will look full once I am done wrapping it all the way around. After we wrap the wreath, as Courtney from Creative on the Cheap would say, it is time to channel Mr. Miyagi and trim the wreath so that it can look nice and uniformed. So just go around and trim whatever little pokey things you think look a little too willy-nilly. Before I add the wreath, I'm actually using some DIY wax in order to seal and protect this. Now, I picked this up from someone local to me, but you can get it from their website, and I will make sure I link that in the description box because I get questions about it all the time. To secure the wreath, I'm just using some hot glue all the way around the back side. What's great about this wreath is you can actually choose which side you want to be the back side, and depending on how your berries lie, you can decide where you want the top and bottom to be. So you can see that my top is heavy with berries and my bottom is lacking berries, but that's okay because I knew I was going to go in with a little bow to cover up that section. And again, just use a little hot glue in order to attach the bow to the wreath. I think this is absolutely adorable. I think it would be really great to personalize it with putting like a family name on the back or even like a family tree. Something like that would just make it super special. This is a great project for somebody that you know that might have like teenagers or furry pets that they really love and a really good sense of humor. So we're starting off with this Dollar Tree sign. And the front part of my signs paper was already kind of wanting to come apart. So I went ahead and ripped off the paper that wanted to come apart and then took some sandpaper to sand out that front side and make it as smooth as possible, including the areas that had any glitter. After that, I went in with Waverly's chalk paint and ink and I painted both the front and the back. I used my Cricut and I cut out the words nice and naughty. I thought that was super funny. If you don't have an electric die cutting machine, you could use stickers or stencils instead. So I'm sharing with you two ways to do this sign. If you want it to be a chalkboard, you want to make sure that you season it first by taking the chalk on its side and rubbing it all over the board and then wiping that off before you write on it. Now I am using reindeer names. I'm not cruel here. I didn't want to put anything personal. And I thought that was a little bit sweeter anyway. I am using a ribbon so that I can hang this sign. And I'm just taking it and threading it through the holes that were originally there and then knotting it on the back to hold the ribbon in place. You can make the ribbon as long or as short as you want. For the sign, I took some bells and I snipped off the back side of the bell, the little loop that makes them so that when you sit them down, they won't lay flush. I'm just using some wire cutters to do that. And then I went in with some hot glue in order to attach those to the sign. After that, I went a little old school and made some clothespin reindeer. I'm using this little bag of pom-poms. I'm actually using the smallest red ones inside of it, the larger craft clothespins that you can get from Dollar Tree, and some googly eyes. This detail tip is so good for getting just the tiniest bit of hot glue on that tippy tip of that clothespin to attach the pom-pom for the nose, and then I use a little bit more hot glue so I can attach the googly eyes, the little bulging googly eyes. I think they're darling. Not hating the fact that I went old school on this, can you tell? Anyway, you can write the name right on the clothespin if you want to, or put a piece of paper in the reindeer's mouth with the name on it, however you want to do this. To hang it, I just took a small piece of twine and I tied a knot at the top in order to create a loop. After that, I just hot glued my loop to the back of the reindeer. I first put down a dab of hot glue, added the loop, and then just added a little bit more hot glue to really make sure it was nice and secure. And then these were ready to hang on my little bell hooks. I think that this could be a real fun and funny gift to give somebody that has a good sense of humor and has maybe some teenagers that need to remember to stay on the nice list during this time of year. I am using these two fabrics to create a pillow. Now the gray and white one is actually a baby blanket found in the baby section at Dollar Tree, but the car one was actually rolled up and in a box in the crafter section. And so make sure you check out the little fabric bin. You never know what gems you will find. If you can't find this fabric, don't sweat it. It's just a fat quarter. I picked up these fat quarters in a bundle at Walmart. I think they are absolutely adorable. I already did one pillow using them. I did that in this video, and you can pick up fat quarters at other fabric stores as well. So to start off with, I'm actually trimming the baby blanket so that it is the same size as the fabric. After I have it all trimmed out, I have this ribbon. I actually got it from a blanket that I purchased from Walmart, so it was kind of free to me, and I'm applying that using some fabric hot glue. Now I personally have a completely separate hot glue gun that I keep my fabric hot glue in. This is the corded detail tip. I love the detail tip, especially using it for fabric glue because I feel like I can get a really precise line. And I use fabric hot glue all the time, and that's why it has its own special glue gun, and that's the only reason why I use this glue gun. So to apply this, I'm just starting by in the center, and I'm applying a line of it. I put down the ribbon and I mush it. Now you could use regular hot glue if you wanted to, but I find that it's not as pliable, and that's the reason why I prefer the fabric hot glue, because I still want the feeling of if I had sewn this. Now if you are a seamstress and you prefer to sew, by all means pull out your sewing machine, sew away. But I use my hot glue gun on the daily, and I hardly ever use my sewing machine. So this is a lot easier for me personally. So I apply the fabric hot glue to the top of the ribbon and as well as on the bottom. Now when I'm doing it on the bottom, I'm actually applying it to the ribbon itself because I want to make sure that I'm not getting it past the ribbon. So I don't want to see any of that glue sticking out. So I apply it to the ribbon and then lay it down onto the fabric. After I got the ribbon attached to the top, I went ahead and I'm doing the same thing to the bottom. Now you will see that I am actually leaving a gap. I did it to the top and now I'm doing it to the bottom. I am not putting the ribbon flush to the bottom. I'm leaving myself about 1/2 inch. And the reason why I'm doing that is I'm giving myself like a seam allowance. That way when I go to make the pillow, when I stitch or faux sew it with a hot glue, I will not have the ribbon like tucked in. It will actually still be out. I know this will all make sense once you see this pillow come together. I purposely am leaving my ends just a little extra long, and I will trim those up later when I'm going around and faux sewing my pillow together. Once I've applied the ribbon, now it's time for me to put my pillow together, and I have taken the two fabrics and I've flipped them so that they are right sides together, and I'm applying the hot glue, giving myself a 1/4 inch seam allowance. A 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch is what you want. Now I'm applying it to the top of the fabric first, and as I work my way around, when I get to that ribbon, I go ahead and turn it to the side, complete it so that I know that the area with the ribbon is completely secure, and then I can trim it and continue down. Now I make sure that I do my 2 sides in the top before I ever touch the bottom. I'm of the camp you cannot have too many pillows, and I did another video where I shared a super easy pillow combination, and you can check out that video as well. When you're at the bottom of the pillow, you want to make sure that you leave yourself a good 3 inches, that you leave open, that you don't put any hot glue, because that is where you're going to put your hand in to flip that pillow the right side out and where you stuff your pillow. Once you make sure that your hot glue has completely cooled, then you can go ahead and flip your pillow to the right side out and then stuff your pillow with whatever you want. I'm using some polyfill. I picked it up in a huge box off of Amazon because I'm of the camp that you cannot have too many pillows, and I have made a ton, and this box is still going strong. After the pillow was stuffed as full as I wanted it, I just went back in with a hot glue in order to close off that seam that I had left open, and then this pillow is done. I actually made 2. I made them for my boys to help decorate their rooms for Christmas, and they love it. I just think that, you know, it's been one of those kind of years, and why not make it just a little extra special for those that we love. I found this shirt at Dollar Tree, and I can't believe that you can get shirts for just $1. It's a Hanes shirt, and I wanted to dress it up, so I went into Cricut Design Space, and I got one of their images and then added to it, and I have, "Dear Santa, I promise I've been good this year," and I'm using my Cricut Easy Press 2 in order to apply the heat transfer onto the shirt. Now, you can use an iron to do an iron-on if you want to, but let me tell you, this makes it so much easier. So once I get it applied, I have these pom-poms from Dollar Tree, and I just pick out one of the smaller pom-poms that fits on the hat perfectly, and I'm using Sherbonder's fabric hot glue in order to attach it to the tippy top of that hat. Now you can wash the hot glue, you just don't want to dry it, and of course I will be washing the shirt plenty. I love this because I really wanted my son to feel special and festive all month long, just not on Christmas Day, especially this year because it's been a little bit more difficult. I absolutely love ornaments, and I think this little truck is just the cutest. So I went ahead and grabbed one of them out because it comes 5 in a pack from Dollar Tree, and I painted the truck itself black and the tree green. I made sure I painted the front and the back. And once it dried, I went ahead and decided I wanted to add some little jingle bells to the tires, and I'm using my Detail Tip cordless glue gun. I love this glue gun. I cannot even tell you how much. I love that it is cordless, but if you wanted it to make it corded, you can absolutely take the cord that is in your base and plug it into the glue gun as well. So I added a little bit of glue to each of the bells and popped those right into the center of those tires to dress up this little ornament. And then I wanted to personalize it by adding my friend's name onto the tree. So I used a paint pen to do that and decided to add a little snow onto the tree at the same time while I was doing that. Not only does this make a great ornament, but it makes a great gift tag. So you start off by making it a gift tag, and then your friend can use it on their tree after that. And it's just a special way to give a gift. I have these gift tags from Dollar Tree. They come 4 to a pack, and you can do a really simple gift tag or ornament by just simply getting a paint pen or a Sharpie and writing your friends or family members' names on it, and then taking a Dollar Tree sticker and using some hot glue to attach that onto the tag itself. Now you want to make sure you use the hot glue because the sticker itself will not stay if you don't. And then it can be that simple, but I wanted to take it up a notch and decided to go ahead and paint my tags. Now I stuck with just black and white, but of course you could add in some color if you wanted to. After the paint dried, I did use my Cricut to cut out the names because I don't love my handwriting. That's just a personal thing. By all means, write, especially if you have good handwriting, just write it. But I really wanted my friends to know how special and how much they matter to me, especially because this is a year that I'm not seeing them as often as I would love. You'll see as I applied their names, I put them in different places just to make it more fun. And then I'm just using the twine that came in the little package and reattaching that as a way to hang these. Once I had that on there, I went back in with some Dollar Tree stickers and applied those with the hot glue onto each of the tags. And this just makes, again, a really cute way to add a little gift tag onto their gift, and then they can use them as an ornament onto their tree, and hopefully they know how much they matter to me and how much I love them. Make sure to check out this video with 40 ideas for Christmas decor that can give you inspiration for gift ideas, or if you're looking to make something for your own home. I want to thank SureBonder again for sponsoring today's video. Thank you so much for spending your time with me, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!